So our family bought the 2024 PrimeTime Avenger. And we're not going to do a full walkthrough because there's actually quite a few walkthroughs already from dealerships. And that's not what the intention of this is. We want to just kind of step through why we bought it and give you some thoughts on like our first experience, as well as any things that we kind of little minor modifications. This weekend was our first trip on it, and it was really kind of a shakedown trip, right? Just to see if there's anything wrong before we do a little bit of a bigger one in March and then a much bigger one over the summer. So with that,
like half the summer. So.
Yeah. So
it's a big one.
It's going to be a big trip. That's right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we really like about it. But we'll do a brief walk around, just like so you can see the whole RV. Sounds good? Let's do it. So this is the PrimeTime Avenger.
Definitely copyrighted.
This is a 2024 model, and I did a couple of minor things. Like I did have on here the little bug guard, but I took it off. I have a bug guard on that. The only other stuff that I'm likely going to do out here is changing the tires, but I did want to show this right here. So the other thing I added is a different camera system, and I added on this little nozzle right here. You can see I'm still trying to figure out how I want to set up my plumbing. They have a gray and a gray black. That gray goes to the kitchen sink, and then aside from that, I didn't really do any other major modifications. I will say one of the things I did is I replaced these CH751 locks. You'll find that most cheap RVs, they come with those. This is an inexpensive one. I think it's actually an offshoot. I think PrimeTime, if I'm not mistaken, is an offshoot of Forest River. But changing out these, at least in my mind, was kind of a necessity because the old ones were pretty horrible. So yeah, let's take a look at the inside real quick. So this is obviously after a weekend of us using it. The RV, as I said, we're not going to do a full walkthrough of everything. But we wanted the bunks. That was one of the most important things for us, is we wanted these back bunks. We also really like the TV being across from the seating area. A lot of the RVs that are a little bit shorter, they actually put this TV up against the front bedroom, which is another thing we wanted. And they put that TV right there, which means that you don't really get to look at the TV unless you're sitting in the dining area here. So we didn't really like that approach on a lot of RVs. This one, the bed is comfortable. We did add a mattress topper just to make it a little bit more comfortable. And we're still trying to figure out things like, obviously this, this whole setup is still kind of in progress. But ultimately we like it. We did end up putting in a Verizon hotspot, home Wi-Fi. The other things we modified and that we're still working on, we are going to be adding speakers. I think the TV that came with this was not the greatest TV. It's a pretty cheap TV, honestly. But we are adding, I have my Steam Deck hooked up and we were testing out some things. We added a Roku because this RV comes with I can't remember what brand it's called, but it's actually an antenna on top of the roof. This channel scanning is really, really great. So you get a lot of local channels if you're in a populated area. Also, this little fire was amazing. We love this little fake fire. You will see versions of this model where all of this is just built out into storage, because in fact, behind this, we looked up inside there, behind this, everything is empty. We also added this little shelf ourselves from, I think it was from Lowe's. Or Walmart, very, very cheap, inexpensive shelf that we just added really quickly. But all of this is empty behind there. Ultimately, everything in here works great. We have not had any major issues all weekend. The bathroom is quite, large. I think that we have not used the shower. I can stand up. I'm 6'3". I can stand up inside of there. So ultimately, everything has been really great here. These little recliners are amazing. I think that we've just we really did pick out something that was kind of perfect for us. We're towing this with an F-150. However, it's the 3.5 turbo diesel, and it tows it quite nicely. But yeah, everything in here has been great. We love it. It's been awesome. All right, so for the things that I maybe would, I wouldn't say I don't like them, but I think that, they're to be expected on an inexpensive travel trailer. One of those is the tires. They use the cheaper Travel King tires. I'm likely going to be replacing those before we do any major trips. I think I've heard, just not the greatest things about those tires, and I don't really want to experience some sort of blowout. I don't expect that they'll blow out. They are new, but it's something that I think that I'm not a big fan of. The other thing was, I know a lot of people like the Furrion camera system, but honestly, the Furrion, I tried it out. I hooked it up because we already had the Furrion camera mount in the back, and honestly, the problem I had with it was that it wasn't very it wasn't very accurate in terms of like keeping up. So it felt like there was a delay. I didn't think the picture quality was that great. I ended up buying a totally different one, which I'll put a link to it down below. And it's been amazing. It was super accurate, like very fast. If my wife was standing behind waving, and I could see her waving in the rearview mirror and also see her waving there, and it was just, almost instant. So much better camera in terms of its usability. And then the last thing that we didn't like, which is a minor thing, is that this TV that was in this one is really cheap.
I don't know I don't even know what the company is called.
Summit, which I've never heard of. It's just an RV TV brand. But it's really cheap. The speakers are they blew within the first hour.
Charlie Brown's teacher, kind of.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher when they're talking. So aside from that, those are all in my mind not big deals. I think that ultimately the trailer as a whole has been really, really great. We've only been in it one weekend, and so obviously we're going to have more issues. We did have a great RV buying experience. The company we bought it from was a local one, not so much like a Camping World type setup or a franchise. And so we had a really good buying experience. But yeah, now we're going to kind of talk about some of the things we really, really like. One of the first things we like is this right here. Lily.
Our dog.
The Lilinator.
Yeah, she's very destructive. Our big one, we're not going to talk about what he did to his dad's expensive jacket.
Oh, yeah. We left some treats in there, and he decided that he was going to tear a hole in it while we were out and about.
But Mom's taking him on a walk right now.
So he's on a walk. He's on a walk. Our big dog's on a walk. So some of the things I really like, I definitely like the, we lived in a tiny house for quite a few years.
It was literally an RV.
It was just, it was an RV, but it was one that I built. And it was small, and it was constructed by me. It was really great. We loved that experience.
About it.
Yeah, so we loved living in there. But with this, there's so much room. Like when the slide comes out, there's just so much room. I was so against getting a slide, but the more I read about it, the more that it seems like slides have come a long way. There are definitely different types of sliding systems. And I think that we ended up getting one that was one of the best ones in terms of its, ease of maintenance and longevity. So the slide, I think, has been amazing. I think that's a huge. It adds so much space. Now, I should have added this to one of the areas of things we didn't like on the slide. When the slide is closed in this particular RV, it's so frustrating to try to get around it. There's a little kind of island where or a little countertop where the counter comes out. It makes it very challenging for you to get through to pack stuff in the RV. But when the slide is out, you have so much room. It's really great. And then the bunks on this one are really great. I think they have plenty of room. They're really tons of room inside of those.
Top bunk.
Yep, he's got the top bunk, and there's tons of room in there. And then the other thing is that I think that I like the stick and tin personally. I know a lot of people like the fiberglass. I like the stick and tin because it's I'm a handy guy. I have a whole workshop. If something goes wrong here, I can replace it. I like that ability to be able to replace something myself and not have to rely on a warranty, which the warranties for RVs are suspect at best.
Ooh.
But I think
you don't want to know about RV warranties.
Yeah.
We don't talk about those, guys.
But I think that everything on this one has just it's the right price point. It looks sharp. I think that the space inside is just so huge. I think there's so much space inside, and the weight of it isn't overly heavy. My F-150, as I said, it's a 3.5 liter with a turbo, and it tows it just fine. It's exceptionally light for the size of the RV. Yeah, so apart from some minor things, ultimately I think this is a fantastic family RV, and we're super stoked we got it, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna wrap up now. We do want to thank you guys for joining us, and remember to
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe. All right, thanks all.